or the way the Bengals dominated the Bills?
Everybody knows what it has to do with. A line does not move because of what one team looks good and the other team looks bad. Only an injury can swing the pendulum like this. Now, okay, they dominated. Even though they dominated, the line had been set. Some had the line as much as 2.5 in Kansas City's favor. And the next thing you know, the money starts going in on Cincinnati, the injury, and it flips. So you get a 3 to a 4-point swing. Did the Bills and the Bengals play again? Did Cincinnati, did they play a game that we didn't know about? And they beat them by 25, they beat them by 30 this time? Other than that, we know why. Patrick Mahomes, quarterbacks move the needle. Star players move the needles. Well, you have two of the biggest stars. I just saw the honors thing for the MVP candidate, Skip. Joe Burrow is one, Patrick Mahomes is the other. Then obviously Justin Jefferson, Josh Allen, a few more guys, and Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
But I'm saying those two guys happen to be in this game.
Yep.
So they're going to swing the pendulum one way or another. And that's what it has to do with. It has to do with the injury to Patrick Mahomes. And the bettors are like, hold on, wait a minute. I saw Patrick Mahomes hobbling around out there. I saw him lead the game for at least 10 minutes, go in at halftime and come back out, ankle heavily taped, hobbling. And y'all talking about Kansas City as favorite? Oh, no, let me go put this money on Cincinnati. And the money started flowing in on Cincinnati, and it swung it. I'm not talking about, Skip, to a 1 point. I'm not talking about to a pick 'em. Now, all of a sudden, Cincinnati is favored by 1.5. It's all because of Patrick Mahomes' ankle injury. That's the only reason the line is going to move that much. Not because one team dominated and the other team has looked shaky. Injury moves the needle.
The problem is this is an unanswerable question because there's no way for us to know exactly. But I believe Joe Burrow has more to do with this than you're giving him credit
But
for.
Skip, hold on. They set the line after Cincinnati had dominated Buffalo. So what? Did they play another game?
No, people just started saying, wait a second. Cincinnati just destroyed the preseason favorite to win it all at Buffalo, destroyed them, took them apart from the opening drive and never looked back in Buffalo weather, in the snow, up there in Western New York. They just did a number on the Bills. And speaking of betting Bills on games, some people, I believe, started to say, time out. Let me look a little harder here. Oh, wait, Joe Burrow has beaten him all 3 times and outplayed him all 3 times. And he's 8 touchdowns to 1 interception against Kansas City. And Patrick's been good. He's been very good, but he hadn't been Joe Burrow.
Can I ask you this? Name the time that Patrick Mahomes is healthy and he's faced Joe Burrow and he's been the underdog. Name the time in the 3 previous meetings in which he's been healthy, Joe Burrow's been favored.
Okay, but Cincinnati continues to be an underdog wherever it goes. People haven't bought in completely to Cincinnati until what they did at Buffalo, and I think they're starting to say, time out, they're legit.
If Patrick Mahomes was 100% healthy and the line opened at 2.5, do you believe it would have swung to 1.5 in Cincinnati favored without the injury to Patrick Mahomes?
I believe it would have swung some. It may not have gone to 1.5, but it might be a pick-em line right now, and you're supposed to get 3 for home field.
No way. No way is that line going to pick 'em.
If in fact you give 3 for home field, the opening line didn't quite value Kansas City as a real favorite at home because it should have been 3 to start with. Okay, so I think people even look back at last year. How did that happen? Well, it comes down to overtime. If we could see what happened, and Patrick, they won the toss in overtime.
Yeah.
Patrick won the toss, and he goes incomplete, and then it's a 3rd and 10 play from the 25, and he throws a deeper ball to Tyreek that gets tipped to Von Bell, and he returns it. It wasn't a terrible throw, but it was a good defensive play.
Great defensive play.
Is it Jesse Bates on that play? I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and tips it to Von Bell, and he returns it 5 or 6 yards, and then here comes Joe Burrow. And he hit T. Higgins for 8, and then he hit T. Higgins for 9. Joe Mixon had a couple of runs. And all of a sudden you look up, guess what? They've got a fairly short field goal, I think it was 31 yards, to win the game and go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So Chiefs win the toss at home in overtime, and you know how that usually goes pretty well for the home team, and it didn't go well. So people are starting to say, wait, body of work. Joe Burrow is arriving right before your very eyes.
They saw all of that last year, and still the betting line was favored Kansas City. And then all of a sudden, the injury and then the betting public starts putting the money. They're like, hold on, I saw Patrick Mahomes limping. Now I don't know what y'all was thinking, but I saw Patrick Mahomes limping, and I see a fully healthy, very, very dangerous Cincinnati Bengals team. Nah, y'all ain't finna get me with this one. I'm putting my money. I'm putting whatever money I'm betting. I'm putting it on Cincinnati.
Okay. Are you speaking for yourself?
No. I'm saying that's what the betting public is saying. No.
All right. So you still think Mahomes is going to be able to, on one leg, beat this team?
No. I thought it was going to be an uphill battle on both healthy legs.
Okay.
I think Cincinnati has the overall better team. I think the quarterback, I'm going Mahomes. Tight end, obviously, I'm going Kels.
Pretty good.
Chris Jones. Those are the three positions. I mean, maybe a couple of offensive linemen, but totality, Skip, when you talk about wide receivers, you talk about running back, you talk about the DBs, you talk about linebackers and D-line, I give the nod to Andy calling the plays. But
well, you're starting to pile up a lot of pluses on one side.
No, I'm saying, but I'm talking about the team. Just like when we went down, remember Kansas City played Tampa in the Super Bowl. I mean, they had like Tyreek was rated high, Mahomes was number one in Kelsey, but then like the next 15 players was Tampa. You look at these, grade them off. I guarantee you, Cincinnati will have more top 15 players than Kansas City.
So is it fair to say that if Patrick can't get outside the pocket, that it really restricts him as a quarterback?
Yeah.
Okay. This is why I take Joe Burrow slightly over Patrick, because Joe Burrow can beat you both ways. He'll get outside and hurt you, but he doesn't want to get outside and hurt you. He wants to stand in there and pick you to pieces by speed reading. He's more out of the Brady mold. But let's do Peyton, the Peyton mold. I know as Brian Callahan, his coordinator, was talking yesterday, he's evolving toward Peyton because, as you know, Peyton would have the answer before the ball was snapped.
Yeah.
He would just read it, decipher it, and go with the genius vision of he's going to be open before anybody's going to be open, and I'm going to throw it to him before you can get to me.
He always anticipated. He said, okay, this is what we're in. This is what they normally do. And if they do that, I think this guy's going to be open. So he was always anticipating what they would do. A, this is what they're going to do. B, he was always going to get to C because he had a good feel based on his history because he kept extemporaneous notes of every defensive coordinator that he's ever faced, whether you were the head coach, DC, or whatever.
Okay, so Burrow's coordinator is saying the defense was never right against Peyton because they can't be right because you can't cover it all. The leaks are going to spring all over the place, and you can't plug every leak on every play. But he will find the leak before you can plug it.
Correct.
So Burrow, he said, is getting close to being able to do that. And he talked about a play in the Super Bowl where the Rams kept playing off coverage because they attacked the ball in the secondary. And off coverage. And he finally went to the sideline and said, okay, watch this. I'm going to do this. And I'm not sure exactly how he tweaked the route, but he hit a big one to Jamar Chase because they were playing for, it was Jalen Ramsey jumping the route. Okay.
Yes.
So my point is, because of that, now if you say Patrick has to be a pocket passer, I don't think he's nearly the pure pocket passer that Joe Burrow is. I don't think he's the reader of the defense that Joe Burrow is. But what he can do sensationally is off script. If he gets, that's why I can't give Andy that much credit for all this. He gives the kid the greenest light in sports. You know, he can just do whatever he wants to do. Throw it behind his back, between his legs, whatever. No look it. But if you tell me he can't go extemporaneous outside the pocket and just kind of make it up on the fly and fling it, then, okay, now you've got me on that one. Because then it's Joe Burrow.
He can throw from the pocket, but obviously, Skip, we know he's better outside of the pocket. And some guys, I mean, you want, like a Brady. I want Brady outside the pocket. I don't want him in that phone booth.
Yeah,
I want to make him.
When has he ever? We saw a couple of times this year.
But I mean, some guys, you're like, Rodgers can throw from the pocket. He also can get outside of the pocket.
He used to a lot more.
Obviously, his legs are not what they once were. And the thing that makes Burrow is that he could do either one. Now, he's not the outside of the pocket that Mahomes or maybe Allen is because he doesn't have the arm strength to like throw the ball, 55 yards over your head like those guys can. But in the pocket, he's as good as they have, and he's good enough outside of the pocket, and then he'll take off on you.
He will.
You play a coverage and you turn your back to him, and next thing you know, he's falling right behind you.
I think he has underrated, I guess you just call it athletic ability.
Yeah.
He was
yeah.
like an
you could
all-state basketball player.
You could tell he was a three-sports player in high school.
He was. And when he takes off, he hits his top speed
Yeah.
very quickly.
Yeah.
Because I've seen D linemen chase him and they can't catch him.
Right.
They can't track him down.
I just like him. He has a quiet arrogance, but that doesn't come off as brash or cocky. He's very, 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 very confident in his ability. He's like, I'm not an underdog. I don't feel like an underdog. I know what I'm bringing. I'm bringing dogs to this fight. I got Chase, I got Higgins, I got Boyd, I got two outstanding runners, I got an outstanding tight end.
Yep.
We good.
And as opposed to Aaron Rodgers, Joe Burrow is with his team as opposed to above his team.
Exactly. And I think the thing, Skip, is that offensive line, because Kansas City didn't get to him a whole lot in the championship game or when they played him. That's going to have to change. You have to. And even that's not an assured thing of victory, because we saw the Titans get him on the ground 9 times and they still lost. And we saw the Rams aggravate the hell out of him, and he was a play away. If Aaron Donald doesn't win in 1.2 seconds, Jamar Chase is going to hit his head on the goalpost.
That is correct.
Because J. Ram whiffed.
Okay, so my bottom line to this discussion is, my gut feeling is Patrick will be better than most people think he will be.
I believe so, too.
I don't know the pathology of what's going on in there, but again, my guy Tony Pollard had to have surgery.
He had tightrope.
He had tightrope, so it wasn't the fracture. They're going to let the fracture heal, but this is the ankle issue.
Right.
So again, it sounds like Patrick doesn't need surgery, but I don't know that for a fact.
Right.
Just the way they're talking, they're indicating he's better than you think. Well, if that's true, if it's just simply a sprain, high ankle sprain, as you say, you can inject it, you can go Toradol, you can tape it 20 times over to make it as stout as it can be. And listen, that kid is a gamer.
He is tough.
He will go.
But Skip, you know the thing that makes him that really good in the playoffs is those legs.
Yeah.
How many times have we seen him, you say he go chugging along? You're like, he's not running that fast. He's not. But all of a sudden, 5, 10, 15, 20 yards later, he's like, damn, how did he get from there to there? And it's a first down, the crowd's going crazy, and the next thing you know, they got the ball in the end zone.
Yeah.
So I think it takes away some of his mobility, some of his escapability.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times he was able to get out of harm's way